Welcome to Beating Cancer Daily. Beating stage 4 cancer for 30 years still takes my breath away every time I say it. I'm Saranne, founder of the Comedy Cures Foundation, and I hope you'll join me for just a few minutes daily for the next 365 days so we may laugh, learn, maybe cry a little as we live our best days beating cancer daily together. So growing up, all I heard about was estrogen. So I thought the only hormone I had to worry about as a woman was estrogen. And testosterone plays into female health also. And for the men listening, there's going to be some good information for you too. So I want to welcome back to Beating Cancer Daily our functional medicine expert, certified nutrition specialist, whole health educator, certified health coach, RN, Jacqui Bryan.
Thank you, Saranne. It was interesting because when I was a kid, I always thought about testosterone as this little character that was exclusively for really aggressive young men in the gym working really hard. Like you'd think, with testosterone.
That's a funny image. There are so many cartoons and memes about hormones and about testosterone. And the one I saw I liked was this woman who looked very pleasant, and it said, "My hormones called. They wanted to set an appointment to rip your head off."
Oh,
I don't know which hormone was calling her, but the way you just described it, it sounds like it could have been testosterone.
I know. It's funny because that was sort of my picture of it as a young person. But today we're going to demystify testosterone a little bit and help us understand that it's not just for men, it's also for women. We're going to talk about what it is, what it does, how we can nurture and love our levels of testosterone in our body. And then we're going to kind of think and talk a little bit into if you have concerns about your testosterone level. So we'll definitely cover all those today.
And I'm sure that gets tested by blood tests.
Yes, there are different ways that your doctor will test for it, and a blood test is one of them. But testosterone is important for both sexes. And again, we don't always think of it that way.
Yeah, I really associated it with male aggression, actually. And what I find fascinating is that it could be a cause of lower energy in women
It
and men.
it is. It's so true. And let's back up a second and think about what testosterone is kind of begin with. It's a molecule or a hormone. We actually think of it as a steroid hormone. It's a chemical messenger, meaning it's kind of moving around your body, telling your body to behave in a certain way, but it's often misunderstood. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to break it down to understand it better.
That poor little misunderstood hormone. I'm starting to feel sorry for it.
Well, we had a case of the giggles before this podcast started, so there might be a few breakouts here with some laughter.
I don't know why we're in such a goofy mood, but it's okay. You do hundreds and hundreds of podcast episodes. You're entitled to the giggles every once in a while.
I know, I know. Well, where is testosterone made, right? We know it's a natural hormone. In men, it's made mostly in the testes. It's even in women made in smaller amounts in the ovaries and the adrenal glands. And as I mentioned, it's a chemical messenger. It supports your muscle strength. And that's obviously super important as we age. It's important for its integrity, right? So it stimulates protein synthesis or muscle protein synthesis, and it can help maintain bone mineral density, right? So if we're struggling with osteopenia, osteoporosis, it's also something that can protect against sarcopenia, which is age-related muscle loss. So again, really important.
So I'm going to guess that this really starts to wane when we're young because I'm watching just my friends start to lose muscle mass. And I'm watching my friends start to be more tired, whether they're male or female. So this must start young.
It does. And it's really surprising because to me, when you say things start dipping at the age of 30, I think 30 is still a child. How could that be possible, right? But we know that we start seeing dips as we age. If we think about all the important roles testosterone has, it's not just with muscle health, it's with metabolic function. So it's going to help with insulin sensitivity, glucose metabolism, and even the distribution of fat tissue, right? So that's definitely going to get people caring about it even more.
And to think that we are not in any way instructing you to go get supplements, and we are not selling testosterone supplements. So I just want to make sure that you realize this isn't a big pitch for you to go out and buy some testosterone powder, whatever that could be. I don't even know what that is or if it,
That's not your new side gig, Saranne.
no, I'm
I
not
can
on an
see you in New York
infomercial.
City. I can see you in New York City with your little sign, testosterone supplements here.
No, not at all. But to realize that, wow, this happens that young. You think of everything happened to old people, but people used to pass away in their 30s and 40s. And now we have this huge longevity. And yet our body doesn't know, it didn't get the memo, hey, you got to keep producing testosterone for more decades. So this is why I was so interested in this episode.
Yeah, I'm still struggling with the fact that I'm in the old people category now.
We are in the old people category. This
We're in
is
the
so
old people
crazy.
category. Okay, I need to finish. I need to finish saying what some of the benefits are. Testosterone is also beneficial for neurological health, right? So it does have an impact on your mood. It has an impact on your energy, your cognitive focus, your memory, even neuroprotection, neuro being brain and protection being what damage and things could potentially be happening to the brain. So again, important for mood stability. And I think this is a really important topic that we haven't spent a lot of time discussing. So, again, this is really interesting because it has a role in influencing the neurotransmitter pathways that are in your brain. So, let's talk briefly about how it changes over time.
That's great. I actually had found a funny meme where people are brawling, they're just full out fighting. And one of the characters says, hormones? Why gotta do me like that?
Oh,
Because I still really associate not people being tired losing testosterone, but just people brawling everywhere. Like you said, just massive brawls. And I would go, that's testosterone, like all the pub fights, testosterone. So that just cracked me up.
oh, that is cute. And it's so interesting because when people say the word hormone, they're always thinking just of estrogen because it's only us that has hormones, the females. Right. But it's actually men, women, we have our sex hormones, the testosterone and the estrogen, but then also insulin, which is a blood sugar regulator. That's also a hormone. There's many different types of hormones. But today we're really focusing on testosterone. And what's interesting is testosterone peaks in your 20s. And then gradually it starts to decline about 1% each year after the age of 30. And that's a little different for men and women. I'll explain the differences in just a second.
Yeah, again, you just really just associate it with men. So I'm curious to hear the differences.
Yeah, so men, their testosterone production, like I said, peaks during their late adolescence and early adulthood. Starting around age 30, their total serum testosterone level begins to decline. The natural decline is usually about 1% per year, although we can accelerate that through poor lifestyle habits, eating more processed foods, being overweight. In fact, this is seeing a much quicker drop in many individuals because of the poor quality of life, the chronic stress, the environmental toxins, all of those things. So, again, for men, at around age 30, we start seeing a natural decline of testosterone about 1% for a year. And this is different for women. Women have a different decline.
And I'm thinking about how poor our diets are, particularly the SAD diet in America. And no wonder why there's such a lack of interest in intimate relations that we hear people complaining about as they're getting older in our population right now because of the stress and the horrible eating.
Yeah, they don't feel well. They're tired, right? Who wants to have sex when you don't feel well? Am I allowed to say that like that?
Yes, you are. But it's sad because you don't think that stopping by and grabbing some fast food is going to really impact that part of your life or your mood or your libido. And now, day after day, month after month, year after year, I'm sure it's just starting to erode the testosterone.
Yeah, it makes a difference. Now, in women, their testosterone production is distributed between the ovaries and the adrenal glands. So their levels peak in and around the age of 20 or in the 20s. They begin to decline well before the onset of menopause. You would think that, oh, when the estrogen drops through menopause, that the testosterone is going to drop then too, when in fact, by the time a woman enters postmenopause, when she's not getting her period or she hasn't had her period for longer than a year, her testosterone level production has typically decreased by half, which will significantly impact energy, libido, muscle retention, all the things we've been talking about.
And you see those underarm flabs that happen, those big baggy flabs when women wave and it's just like tunk tunk. I know that's got to be related to that low testosterone.
It can be diet, it can be inactivity. There's a difference in where fat gets distributed, right? I think it's important for us to understand as we age, it's going to drop about 1% per a year, especially for men. It's going to lead to less muscle, increased body fat. Those are the arms you're talking about.
Those are
Lower
those beer bellies that I'm talking about.
lower energy, reduced sex drive, changes in mood or focus. And so this is important, right? Because testosterone matters. It does matter. It's we're not paying great attention to it, and it's not just important for the gym rats, the people that are in the gym bulking up muscles, but it's good for brain function, sexual health, overall well-being, all of the above.
That's my new t-shirt, Jacqui. Testosterone matters.
I like TM.
Too much
Love it. Love
information.
it. Okay, so let's get to the fun part, right? The fun part is how are you and I going to support healthy testosterone levels? Well, one of the number one things we can do is movement, right? Staying physically active is going to support hormonal health, not just testosterone, but all hormones, right? So strength training is going to help build and maintain muscle. And so there's different recommendations for this depending upon what your needs are, what your personal goals are. But 2 to 3 times a week generally is what's recommended. But then also having repetitive movements like cardio, brisk walking, cycling, at least 150 minutes per a week, not a day. That would be a lot. But 150 minutes per a week is great. I actually, depending upon what the goals of my clients are, I will steer them even a little bit higher than that because I think it has such a significant impact on your mood. And that's really important. So, again, everybody's going to have a different starting place. Some people will start with 10 minutes a day, some will start with 30 minutes a day. The strength work is going to tell your muscles to stay active, which is going to support your hormone health and it's going to help with weight management and stress. So, again, all of those things are important for balancing hormones.
So I know I'm feeling overwhelmed by the amount of time we now have to find to do these workouts. So I want to remind you that Jacqui did have an episode on habit stacking. So we can start to weave it in to the habits that we already have. That's a really good episode to go back and listen to if you haven't heard it. And I'm thinking, Jacqui, of some of those fun tricks like if you are carrying the groceries from the car or to the car and you've done some grocery shopping and you've purchased a couple jugs of water or of milk or iced tea, just doing a couple reps as you're carrying them into the
Yes,
house.
it matters. It matters that 20 minutes, which is kind of the minimum each day, can be broken up into 3, 4 different sessions, right? We just need you moving. And the more you move, the better you're going to feel. It's interesting because I have a physical therapist that says motion is lotion. I love that. So, motion is lotion, and that means that the more we move, the more we're lubricating our joint, the less pain that we'll feel. And while today is about testosterone, being pain free is also important as well.
It's interesting because when you said the lotion, I literally was thinking of vaginal health because low testosterone can also have an impact on your sexual organs. So I was thinking lotion of keeping yourself lubricated in that way too, and for intimacy. So it's interesting because she meant it also for the joints.
Yes, yeah. And as a physical therapist, they do pelvic floor work as well. But I just like the saying motion is lotion, especially for people of an older age like myself, where we start getting joint pain and things like that. And joint pain and any type of pain is really the thing that slows people down in their activity. And so it's important to get checked with your medical team to make sure you're cleared to exercise. But once you are, definitely see if you can bring in the 20 minutes a day, and walks will do it, but also strength training is going to be beneficial.
I
Let's
love that you did the math and you made it 20 minutes a day. Because when you said 150 and then you said more, I was trying to quickly do the math to see how much time I had to find in every day now. But we can do 20 minutes. I feel that we
We
can
can
do 20
so do
minutes.
20 minutes. So do 20 minutes. Let's let's talk about what we're eating, right? Because that's like a big part of this whole thing. We talked about what's going to hurt your testosterone and other hormones. That's the processed food diet, high sugar, blood sugar imbalance. So if you eat a balanced diet, that is going to play a key role in hormonal health. And there's many different components to this. The first is including lean proteins, things like chicken, fish, eggs, and beans. We need to eat healthy fats from nuts, seeds, olive oil, avocados, and including the colorful rainbow fruits and vegetables and even whole grains. And you want to be sure that you're getting enough zinc from foods like pumpkin seeds or oysters, and get magnesium from leafy greens or nuts, and even vitamin D from fatty fish or fortified foods, or even being out in the sun a little bit, because those all play a role in hormonal health.
It's interesting how these same foods just keep cycling through all the different episodes of Beating Cancer Daily because I can think of different times where you've read that same list. Now, it's interesting because if you're a vegetarian, you're not going to go for the fish, the chicken, or the meat. And so I bet you have to spend extra time really thinking about how you're going to get that protein into you because you've got to keep a level of protein so that your testosterone stays at a stable level.
Yes, yeah, it's so important. And it's actually not that challenging if you know what you're doing, right? If someone decides all of a sudden they want to be a vegetarian and that they're not going to be consuming any animal protein, and they don't do their homework to understand that, hey, I need to get my protein from beans and certain other vegetables and even nuts and seeds, then they most likely could become deficient, right? So that's an important part. In addition to the healthy fats, the fruits and vegetables, and the zinc and the vitamin D, all of those things are super important for us to bring in to help balance the hormones. In fact, food is the key in balancing hormones. So if you're looking for ways to just feel better hormonally, even if you're not thinking about testosterone, eating a balanced diet is an excellent place to start.
And on a schedule, I can't imagine that if you pack all the protein in on one meal and then you don't eat for 15 hours, that this is going to be good for us. Like it feels like the more regulated we could get, the better that's going to be for our hormones.
I'm so glad you said that, because we don't want to see people eating 100 grams of protein at one meal because your body can't process it. Spacing it out to about 25 grams of protein per meal will probably be something that would serve you really well. I think one area that we don't spend enough time thinking about or prioritizing is sleep. Sleep is critical for hormone production, especially testosterone. The goal is to get 7 to 9 hours most nights if you can, and stay consistent with your sleep schedule. So create a wind down ritual if you can. Dim your lights, avoid screens an hour before bedtime, sleep in a cool room around 65 to 68 degrees. Make sure the room is dark. If you think of sleep as a reset button, if you're not sleeping well, it can lower testosterone, right? So we want to stay consistent so that we can have consistent levels of hormones that are balanced in our body.
And I know you mentioned it earlier, but regulating stress, like just trying not to have these huge stressful bursts throughout the day and just kind of having good strategies to deal with stress when it comes. And we have hundreds of episodes. Laughing is such a fun way. I wonder if anybody's ever done a study on testosterone and laughing. I know they
Well,
do
I
it on
think
cortisol, but
yes, yeah.
testosterone, that would be a fun study.
Well, it's also a hormone. Cortisol is also a hormone. So when we think about stress is going to have a negative impact on the body unless you know how to regulate it. So your recommendation for laughing is so critical. High stress does impact hormone levels. So bringing in activities like deep breathing for 5 to 10 minutes a day, or even some mindfulness, right? If you enjoy mindfulness activities, you can try different apps. You can even just do inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale for six. That's a nice strategy just to kind of stimulate that vagus nerve to help calm and rest and just slow things down with the parasympathetic nervous system. It's so important.
That's a good episode too to go listen to, the vagus nerve episode, where we really help you use the different strategies to relax. And
Yes.
all the
Yeah.
episodes, tumor humor, there's just so many in the podcast for really dealing with anxiety, fear, stress, depression.
Yeah, these are so important. Even bringing in short walks or going outside, forest bathing, talking to a friend. The bottom line is chronic stress raises your cortisol levels, which really will crowd out the testosterone. It's kind of a good visual. If you got too much cortisol in there, the testosterone's like getting squished, right? There's not enough room for it. So those calming practices are going to help restore the balance so that you're going to feel more in control.
I have to admit, I loved the adrenal rush of my life in my earlier days. Like, I think I actually created reasons to have these huge rushes. And now I'm at a place where I'm like, no, I don't want that anymore. I lived that way. And it was kind of the Hollywood way. And you just had all these big high moments with television production and live events and celebrities. And now I just want peace. I just
Oh,
really,
it's really funny. I felt like the whole time you were saying that, I felt like saying you and me both, Saranne, because I was an adrenaline junkie, right? Like I was doing triathlons and I was also doing CU nursing where, everything was a crisis, right? And so I loved that feeling, that intense feeling. I was on the code team in the hospital, so they'd call a code and we'd all go sprinting and running from whatever unit we were in to try to save whoever was coding. I loved that. Now I'm like, ugh.
we're
Like,
so old.
no,
We're
no.
both like, no, no, it's so funny. All our listeners who are young are like, oh, yeah, I love that. And all the
Yeah.
listeners who are older are like, well, yeah, I'm with you ladies. Okay.
I know it's just something that's not there anymore. And I think after my cancer diagnosis 22 years ago, I think that was the one area of my life that I had to sit back and say, you know what? I need to slow down. I had to get off the train and take a very slow bus.
Funny because I didn't, even with my diagnosis, misdiagnosed 33 years ago, then diagnosed and then told to get my affairs in order and then beat it. It took me 18 months from that bad news to figure out a reinvention of my immune system. I still stayed on that adrenaline train. And it's only more recently where I've said, you know what? I'm going to get to the airport a little bit earlier. I hate to admit it because my husband's a 4 hour guy and we take separate cars, but now 2.5 hours, whereas I used to just be sprinting for every plane. And now I get there just a little bit early. I get to the gate so I could get pre-boarding because I can't lift my bag up into the upper cabinet because of all the surgery that I had for my breast cancer. So I pre-board just to have somebody help me get the bag up. But I used to love that sprint through the airport. And now I'm like, nope, not sprinting. I'm just going to mosey on down and look at the shops.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny because I feel like I just want things to be calmer because I feel like it's better for my body. And I'm happy that you're slowing down too. I think we're both of us, our testosterone's dropping.
There's something so sad about that, but okay, I'm going to follow what you said so I
Oh,
could keep it a little boost.
okay. All right. So we want to limit alcohol. We want to avoid smoking because, again, those are things that are going to interfere with our testosterone levels, right? So too much alcohol is going to lower it. Smoking harms overall health and your hormonal balance. The big question I get from people, and again, Saranne is not selling any supplements on this podcast, but people are curious, like what nutraceuticals slash supplements could I take that potentially could help me balance my hormones in some cases. And when you're working with a provider, vitamin D is something that can help with hormone production. Magnesium can help with relaxation and recovery. And then zinc is good for overall hormone support. But you definitely need to work alongside a provider because these are supplements that can build up in your system. And so you want to make sure that you're not overdoing anything because then it can have the reverse effect, right? So again, the goal is balance. And the big question, in addition to supplements, is when should I talk to my provider? Like, when do I talk to my doctor? How do I know if this is a problem? I don't know about you, but sometimes I've had something physically going on with me, and I think, oh, this must be what everybody's feeling. But oftentimes, that's not the case. Oftentimes, you might be experiencing ongoing fatigue, and maybe that's not normal for your situation. So you should let the doctor know. If you've noticed an extreme low sex drive, that's important, again, to communicate with your provider. Severe mood changes or just mood instability in general, if you're feeling depressed or you're feeling anxious all the time, and then even a loss of muscle strength. I think that's a really important one for us to think about because when we lose muscle strength, that is going to significantly impact our ability to be active in our daily life. And that will certainly impact our mood and have an impact on all of the other things that we were talking about.
I was in a longevity seminar and they said that you should actually know your grip strength. You should know your blood pressure. They were telling us all the things that you should know, just be able to talk about. And I never thought about knowing what my grip strength was, and it's different right hand to left hand, which hand's
Hmm.
dominant. But now I want to go get my grip strength tested, and that would be an interesting way to see, are you losing strength?
Yeah, there are different types of tests that they can do that will assess kind of your chronological age versus where you would like to be. And I think those are really fun and interesting. And especially in some cases, they can be very motivating, right? And that's a big one, right? So we want to find ways that we can stay motivated to stay the course, right? And for me, like tennis is a big thing for me. I love competing. I love working hard in the gym so that I can perform well on the court. Those are things that, again, excite me. And that's the thing that drives me. But we have to find what drives ourselves. Everybody has a different source or inner motivation.
I was going to say, you know what drives me, Jackie? A good meal. I
Yeah.
love I love eating a good meal. I am such a foodie, but I am going to start focusing more on exercising. And then the other thing I wanted to say is the GLP-1s. because
Yes.
they wreak havoc on your muscle strength. And if you're
Hmm.
already losing muscle because you're losing testosterone, this is a real problem. So
Right.
be careful if you're taking the GLP-1s and make sure that you really are doing this weight training.
Well, there's certain things that are going to compound them, right? As we age, we're going to lose muscle anyways, right? We're also hearing our testosterone is going to dip. And then if we're taking other medications that potentially could be dipping testosterone or impacting our muscle, it's all combined. It's all going to have an impact for sure. Your physician, your primary care physician can order lab panels that can give some information about where you're at. One of the lab tests, total testosterone, free testosterone. There's different sex hormone binding globulin tests that you can do, and even like FSH or even lipid panels, comprehensive metabolic markers. Those are all ones that they can actually do. If you're in active cancer treatment now, then there may be strategies your doctor or your providers want you to do to help balance your hormones in a different way than what we're talking about, right? Because different types of cancers can be fed by different types of hormones, right? For example, breast cancer and estrogen fed breast cancer, like the one I had, it may mean that, hey, we don't necessarily want you doing things to boost your testosterone or your estrogen. So you really want to talk to your providers about those things. But there are different clinical studies and trials that are happening that are looking at all different types of hormones, not only from a negative standpoint, but also from a positive standpoint in how they can positively impact your unique situation. So these are great conversations for you to have with your provider. The reason that we do this podcast and the reason we're talking about testosterone today is we just want to get the conversation started, right? We want to find ways to optimize your health. We want to help you understand the biology of your body, kind of respecting these different systems that we have, and understanding that taking this whole person approach, protecting your sleep, nourishing your body with those amazing healthy foods, the healthy fats, the phytochemicals, the proteins, and even challenging your muscles with exercise is going to give that endocrine system. And that endocrine system is the system that produces the hormones in your body, the best environment for it to thrive, right? And isn't that what it's all about? We really want to thrive. It's not about surviving cancer or surviving any other diagnosis we have. We want to enjoy our life. And that's what we're here doing, right? Having this conversation.
Thank you so much, Jacqui. This was really eye-opening. And you know that I always love if I can find something that tickled me to end the episode with. And you know, I love chocolate. Everybody knows I love chocolate, but there's this woman and she says, my hormones are carefully regulated with chocolate for your protection.
Oh, that is so cute. I
Yeah.
love that one. That's so
Come
cute.
bearing chocolate, my testosterone and estrogen will be very happy.
That is
No.
so cute. Oh, fun.
Well, thank you so much, Jacqui. Really appreciate it today. And if you want to talk to us about what's going on with your testosterone, well, you can always reach us at comedycures.org. If you want to find out more about Jacqui Bryan, go to jacquibryan.com. If you can't find her, come back to comedycures.org and you can either write to me in the menu or you can go to the podcast section and record a message to me. And I love to hear from you. And then I share it with Jacqui. So please have a blessed day and I'll see you tomorrow. If you loved today's episode, then tell the world. Why? Because Beating Cancer Daily is a listener and donor supported experience. So the more people you tell and the more people that join us, the more robust and interesting programs our nonprofit, the Comedy Cures Foundation, can bring to you throughout the year. So if you have some extra change, I'd love you to go to comedycures.org and make a donation today of whatever level is comfortable for you. And it will be tax deductible to the extent allowed by law. because Comedy Cures is a nonprofit 501c3 organization founded from my chemo chair, April 1999, and we've been going strong ever since. So please consider making a donation today and help our community and this podcast thrive. Guess what time it is? It's time for me to read the disclaimer. Beating Cancer Daily and the membership circle are not in lieu of medical advice or treatment. They are for entertainment purposes only. Please consult your healthcare team to review your best strategy. Thanks for listening. See you guys tomorrow.